Hey everybody, it's Janice with Creating Through Chaos, and today we're going to start this project off with this mason jar that I got at Dollar Tree. I am going to take a sponge bouncer and I'm going to paint the bottom half of the mason jar with some white paint. And I'm going to do this on both sides. And I'm just using the sponge bouncer because it's much easier than using a brush and causing a bunch of brush strokes. And this makes the paint adhere better. So now that I've got both sides of that done, I'm going to take one of these little wooden palettes from Dollar Tree, and I'm also going to give this a nice coat of white paint as well. And I'm not going to paint the back half of it. It doesn't need to be painted because I'm going to push it up against something, so I'm only going to paint the front and the sides and the top and the bottom. And this is just one of the smaller palettes. Once that's all painted, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to grab my mason jar and I'm going to paint the bottom half of the mason jar on the stand with a yellow color. And I'm going to do it on both sides. Once I have that all painted and it's all dry, I'm going to take this daisy napkin that I found at Marshall's and I am going to lay it onto the jar and see which one that I want on there. And I think I decided that I wanted the bigger one on there, so I'm just going to put a nice layer of Mod Podge onto the mason jar. And I've already pulled my napkin down to 1 ply. It was 2 ply. And I'm just going to lay that on there, making sure that I get every inch of it and getting into all those little nooks and crannies of the paint that I just put on. And then I'm going to lay my napkin right down on top of it and just kind of pull at it and fix it just so I don't get a lot of wrinkles and bubbles. And then I'm just going to smooth it out with my fingers very, very lightly. I don't want to tear the napkin. Once I have that all on there, I'm going to take my water brush, or you could just use a paintbrush with water. It's totally up to you. And I'm going to start removing some of the excess napkin from around my mason jar. So I'm just going to slightly go around, just kind of wet it, start pulling it off. And then I'm just going to let this sit for a few and fully dry. You can use a heat gun or a blow dryer. Once I have it fully dry, I'm just going to take my sanding block and just sand off the rest of the excess paper. Just easier to work with when you have less paper. That's why I pulled it off, and I didn't want to tear it off because I didn't want to risk tearing the napkin. So now just kind of slightly sanding around all the edges and getting that excess napkin. Making sure that it's all off. Once I have that all off, I'm just going to do another coat of Mod Podge over the top of the napkin just to make sure that it is sealed and doesn't peel off on us. And this is just a quick light coat, and then I'm going to let that dry fully also. So once I have that on, I'm just going to take some twine and I'm going to put some on the back. And I just used a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm just going to wrap it around the front of the jar. You can wrap it as many times as you want. You could use ribbon to do this. You could use the baker's twine. It's totally up to you. I'm just using regular twine. Once I have that on, I also made a twine bow, and I'm just going to glue that right onto that twine bunch that I wrapped around. Now I'm going to take the palette that we painted, and I'm going to glue that to the back of the mason jar. So I'm going to put some all-purpose adhesive on first, and then I'm going to add some hot glue, and then I'm just going to push that onto the back. I'm going to make sure that it's high enough up on the jar and low enough that you don't see it from the front side. So when you look at it from the front, you can't tell that that's there. Next, I'm going to add these pretty daisy flowers. I got these at Dollar General. I'm going to push those all into the back and use this as a little vase to hold our flowers. Once I had that done, I'm just going to add a yellow button to the front of my twine bow that I made, and that is it. This project is done. I think this turned out so super cute, and it was super easy, and I love that I can change these flowers out if I want. And you could do this with any kind of napkin and any kind of flower combo. I think I'll do this again in the fall with some sunflower napkins and some sunflowers in the back. I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope it inspires you to make one. Thank you for watching, and as always, don't forget to spread the chaos.